It just opens up a little bit more space for those running backs, and they took advantage of it that night. So I think that was clear.
Hey, EJ, let me hold on 1 second. We got Coach David McWilliams calling in.
Hello?
Coach McWilliams, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Well, this is Chad Dickson McMillan, Eric Johnson, Gregory Wayneberry, and Nancy Dixon Styles, Sparkle Plenty, recording here in Houston, Texas on the Longhorn Sports Network. We are so proud to welcome in live, calling from Austin, Texas, my former, Mark Murdoch's former head coach, David McWilliams, former head coach at the University of Texas, former co-captain on the national championship Longhorns, a former Texas Longhorn assistant coach, former head coach at Texas Tech University, but he was my head coach at the University of Texas. Now he's the executive director of the Tea Association for the University of Texas. Coach McWilliams, welcome in to Chad Dixon McMillan's Longhorn Letterman pregame show. How are you today?
I'm doing good, man. Just didn't know I was calling into a famous radio show, but I'm glad that I was able to do it and to make the call. So I'm doing good. Getting a little cool up here. May get a little bit of snow tomorrow. Looking forward to headed up to Dallas on Arlington on Saturday and see the Longhorns beat the Huskers.
Well, tell us, Coach, as it was very special to get to sit with you to watch the Texas Longhorns get out to a 40-0 halftime lead over the Baylor Bears and hand it to them, hearing your expert analysis all during the game. What are some of the keys for us jumping out early against Bo Pelini's Nebraska Cornhuskers and getting command of this game and really handling things quickly as we need to and coming away with the Big 12 championship?
Well, I think that's true. That stay away from turnovers and penalties, and just try to take control. They've got a very good defense. Our defense didn't play as well as I guess A&M, but I think a lot of it was A&M because I was there, and a lot of the passes that derived through were just perfect passes. It wasn't bad coverage. It was just that ball was thrown in there and they caught it. So anyhow, I know our defense is wanting to put up a little bit better stalwart than that. And I feel like that, Nebraska's a team that runs the ball well. I think you got to try to get them in a situation where they have to throw the ball more on your offensively for them because it's not what they really like to do. And, of course, the kicking game, as you know, is always a big part of it. And I think we've been very strong in the kicking game. I worry about kickoff coverage, but I watch all these other games, and, kicking off in the 30 has really made a difference on returns, and
right.
People are getting the ball up there close, so it's not so much something that we haven't worked on and done well. But, yeah, I think those are the big keys, and just remembering that you take them one game at a time.
Right.
Coach, this is Eric Johnson. I was going to ask you, we talked about Kyle Field, and when you coach there, we talked about what a difference maker it is for that field and how loud it gets and the impact it has on the players. As a coach, what did you tell the players, and is there anything you did to help them prepare for an atmosphere like that?
Well, normally if they hadn't been there, it's pretty hard, Aaron. If they hadn't been, because it's totally different from Texas OU, where you've got 50% of the fans from Texas and 50% from for OU, and down there you've got like 4,000 seats, and that's it. And you just tell them the first thing you do, you work out there in that week with playing the Aggie War hymn and that, and all the rackets you can make, and you learn to probably change your snap count. Of course, we're in that spread formation, so we're really not yelling out a snap count. You just see Colt give a hand signal. But we did that also, that we would change our snap count because there's just times they couldn't hear it, and just have to look up and be looking in at the ball. But it was definitely an advantage for A&M to play. And I think when they scored early, they scored on the first drive. And so there's encouragement, and then they come back and they can continue to score, and of course that crowd's going crazy, and so you just have to try to take away that early lead from them when you're in a stadium like that.
Coach McWilliams, this is Greg Berry. It's great to visit with you again. I enjoyed chatting with you a few weeks ago during the Baylor game. I just had a question for you. Clearly, you're one of the classiest coaches at the University of Texas, and one of the things that we appreciate in this era of college football, when sort of running up the score is standard fare, and we've clearly got a different coach in Coach Brown. Give us your thoughts on Coach Brown, and even just from an everyday basis. Tell us about him and what kind of a guy he is, what kind of a man he is in everyday life as well.
He's really no different from. I mean, it's amazing to me how. Excuse me, how he remembers names. Just Coach Raw was great at that, of meeting somebody and remembering names. And he'll go kiss babies if they're there, and he'll go handshake everybody. I've seen him stay around and sign autographs for an hour after everybody else had gone.
I'm starting a campaign, Mac Brown for president.
Little kid got their autograph, and I think too that you see the players. A lot of times you talk about to the players, and I even saw a quote from a player from another university that bragged on Mac Brown because of the family atmosphere that he has created. Right. That our players feel like they're part of the family. Absolutely. And not just while they're here and while they're playing, but even after they get out, then we bring them back and make sure that they feel a part of it. And our motto is Longhorns for life. And Coach Brown is certainly a great believer of that. And I've never seen the man turn down anybody or anything. And constantly, he have young kids or young people that practice that maybe have lost a limb or they have cancer, and he opens up the practice and makes sure the players all go over and shake their hand, and just heartwarming type stuff. And he's that kind of a man off the field as well as an excellent coach on the field.
Well, Coach, there's a special lady in the studio with us today. My mother, Nancy Dickson Stiles. She's going to ask you a quick question, but I just found out recently from her that one of those times when she and I both thought that I should be starting as an offensive lineman. I think she actually drove to Austin and had a conference with you, former elementary principal, trying to go meet with my head coach, trying to get me some playing time. So I'm a little embarrassed about that, but thank you for making me feel so welcome recently as a returning Longhorn to be a part of the T Association. But I want to welcome you and Nancy Stiles together for the first time in a long time. Here you go, Nancy.
Well, I'm going to call you David. Is that okay? I'm old enough that I can do that.
Well, that's what mothers are for, isn't it?
Well, I think so. And if you remember that day, I'll actually tell you, I said, David, I think you've made him into a spare tire. He was so.
I remember that day. Yeah,
he was pretty willing to.
I always remember those days, and those are tough days because you love all your players, and you want them all to be up there. And sometimes, as coaches, you just don't see things as clearly as you should. But I think as a coach, you just feel like you're trying to do what's best for the team, and then sometimes you make mistakes in that.
Hey, don't even go there. I'm not thinking you made a mistake. I'm trying to laugh at
I
all
think
this.
You made a mistake. I was supposed to be a quarterback at the University of Texas, and you put me at offensive lineman.
No, wait. I really want to talk to you about something that's very special to me. Now, I know you're from Cleburne, and that's sort of next to Fort Worth, which is the west, and of course I'm from Buffalo Gap and Tuscola, and we know that's the west. And I just want to ask you, don't you think it's really terrific that we have a young man in Colt McCoy who has, from day one, he has professed his blessings for being the kind of kid he is. And I don't care whether it's an Aggie or a Cornhusker or who it is. I think you and I would agree that to have a young man representing the university as Colt is just one of the greatest things that's happened.
Well, he is, and I went through, there was something on the internet where they had him and Sam Bradford and several others talk about their faith. I can't remember the name of it.
It was. I don't know. I know what you're talking about.
I went through all of them, and Coach was wonderful about giving Jesus Christ and God all the credit, and he's been that way from day one. And he goes to my church, and I see him and Jordan Shifter there quite often, and he's the real thing as far as following Christ and doing the things. And just think of the example that he's setting, because every kid in America right now is looking at Colt McCoy, and for him to stand up and talk about Jesus and his faith, just think about the impact that has on our young people.
Well, Coach, it is. I'm almost trembling that on my radio broadcast I have Coach David McWilliams calling in. What an honor.